we had a very big week for aforementioned TNA wrestling. Last week, they announced a multi year partnership with WWE NXT. Just to get the synopsis, the context to it, the agreement will enable talent to garner additional exposure across key WWE and TNA programming, including weekly flagship shows such as NXT, which airs live on the CW, and TNA Impact. Select WWE premium live events and TNA pay-per-views, in turn bolstering their in-ring development and with exposure to world-class talent and coaching. And that is straight from TNAWrestling.com. Uh, I'll throw Daniel first. Obviously, this is something that uh, you know, Brian, Jimmy, and myself have been talking for the better part of it the last few months. Let's get this partnership. This is that first step with TNA getting that. That you got the TV in Canada on Sportsnet 360. Maybe this is that next step to get that US TV deal. That's just my opinion. But initial thoughts of this great partnership.
This is a phenomenal partnership. I mean, no, and I use the term phenomenal because AJ Styles came from us and he's now with them. So let's put it together. But no, that's a little dad joke there.
What a
But
genius.
yeah, but no, this is literally like this is amazing. This proves once again that the previous partnership or whatever it was when Brian was with us most recently is not the same. This shows that this is not WB buying us. This is not We're not developmental. We are a partnership. And that's what I love. And it's going to do already. And I'll say this because we our powers that be put it out there in the reports that there was a surge in ticket sales for Genesis right after as soon as the announcement was made. This was a co-branded pay-per-view we just had at Genesis. We're going to get to that in a little bit, but there's things that are happening behind the scenes in front of the camera as well that is doing nothing but bringing more eyes to our product, doing nothing but elevating their product as well. So it's a win-win for both, and we're just getting started. That's what I love. There's so much fantasy booking going on. There's so much conversation happening,
And
and
Daniel, I don't want to cut you off, but I have to because what you just said, this happened quickly too. Once this announcement was made that on the partnership, this was quickly. It was last week. You did a pay-per-view on Sunday, and all of a sudden we got names showing up and everything. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
it happened quick. It's not like they're waiting to do anything. They were ready. But go ahead. I just wanted to say that.
Well, and here's the other thing too is that I had somebody ask me, and I'll say this like this is my response to them. I had somebody ask me about a month ago, 2 months ago. They said the TNA and NXT WWE thing fall off because no, I haven't seen any talent back and forth on any shows in the last few months. And my response was, "There's a reason. Just wait." You know, and that's all I could give people, or say. And then here we go. So now you see the reason why they were waiting and why it was a better deal do that at the time. And yeah, you're right. We're hitting the ground running on this. Triple H and Shawn Michaels were both saying they're watching Genesis and ready for that. And that's the two most important people that is in charge of WWE's creative and talent, one being Shawn Michaels and the other being Triple H. So if they're watching Genesis, seeing what's going on, it's a pretty big deal, right? So but again, it's a partnership. I'm excited for it. It's something that's going to grow and grow over time. And to answer RJ's question, 100% believe this is going to do nothing but help, do more for us, is helping us get a U.S. deal than anything else, a U.S. network distribution deal or whatever it may be, whether that's streaming, whether that's a network television deal. I don't know. It's gonna help us move away. We've enjoyed our partners at Access TV, but it's gonna help us move away from that. And I say we because I'm a part of that. So I'm excited. I'm excited, and I feel like Brian's gonna be calling me up saying, "Hey man, you need a fourth, fifth referee." He goes, "Come on, let's go. I'm coming back."
I'm always in shape, brother.
Yeah.
Uh, the one thing I want to touch on real quick because I think Daniel did a great job on it. This is not a negative. This is something I think is a positive. Is that I watch TNA regularly. I do not watch NXT regularly. I don't. I watch what I feel is important or is promoted as important, um, such as tonight. Meaning we tape today, today on Tuesday. You're going to hear this tomorrow on Wednesday. Um, Corey Graves is supposedly going to be back tonight after his rant or whatever you want to call it. Social media blunder.
I mean, stealing my gimmick.
Yes.
Okay.
So the people that showed up at the pay-per-view I watched, Genesis, I'll be honest with you guys. I knew them, but I didn't really know them. So what the importance of it to me was not there. So what that does do, Daniel, so you'll know, is that makes me actually want to watch NXT more so I can figure out who these characters are and invest in them more to where this means something to me. And I think it works vice versa. People that are watching NXT are going to want to see TNA more to see the characters they may not know. So I think that's a pretty cool deal. And I think that's how this thing can work both ways for both companies. Not only that, guys, but John Cena tweeted the fucking partnership out. So it's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And like you said, Brian, you guys covered it pretty much. From a fan standpoint, I am stoked. I think this is going to be nothing but good television, good entertainment. And if you're a wrestling fan, it's going to be good if you're a fan of either brand. It doesn't matter. And from a business standpoint, like you said, Daniel, again, it doesn't hurt to have a partnership with the biggest brand on the planet right now.
Not at all.
I mean, like, with all due respect to all companies out there, when you attach your name to the WWE brand right now, networks are going to pay attention.
Yep.
They're going to say, "Oh, wait a minute. Okay, there's a partnership here. Wait, let me rethink this," because before it might have been a little more difficult. Like you said, being on Access Television, which doesn't have a large penetration in the U.S. market, I believe. You guys are down there. You can tell me better than I.
It doesn't. It doesn't.
Right. So now maybe there is something like, for example, SmackDown in the U.S. is on USA Network. That's the deal for now. Once that ends, they're going to end up on Netflix. And any chance of TNA going to USA Network was a no-go because it would have been considered a conflict of interest.
Yep.
Now that I believe, don't quote me on this, Uncle Dave. Don't quote me on this, but
get him, Dave. Get him.
I believe this takes that out of the equation. And if USA was interested in bringing TNA on board as part of their programming, there wouldn't be a conflict of interest here because there is that handshake deal in place between them and the WWE.
Yeah, so that is you're true to that. It's a little bit easier when you say we're this is one of our partners. Now I think there's still a WB has to sign off on it or whatnot, but it makes it easier for them to sign off on it than it would, 4 years ago or 3 years ago or even last year, right? So it's a little bit better for that. So there's still, I'm sure, red tape and things to cross and all that, but yeah, I mean that's a very much a possibility. But there's a lot of people, a lot of networks interested in wrestling, believe it or not, and interested in content because there was a lot of shoppers going after WWE when the Netflix before the Netflix deal was done, when their UFC deal was done with Raw, and there was a lot of people interested in NXT before they went to CW. So there's been people been interested, and those interests are still out there. So now there's like a partnership. It's like, wait a minute. Now we can go for someone that we might be able to still have WWE talent show up on our TV.
I'll say this, Daniel. I'll say this, Daniel, RJ, Jimmy. I'll say this. This is a crucial next couple months for TNA. And what I mean by that is because they are really under the gun to put out some good content. They're going live. This is not the last live show they're going to do, is what I've been hearing. And I think it's very crucial for them to put out product, to put out production that shows that they can do what they can do live and make an impression on people that are looking to maybe add them to their lineup in their TV program. So this is not a time to just say, okay, yeah, it's probably going to happen because we're with WWE. No, no, no. You have to earn that by showing what you can do. So I think it's a very crucial time right now for TNA in a good way for them to go ahead and display what the hell they can do.
Well, and I think they being TNA had one hell of a first step in that transition of that partnership with WWE this past weekend in Dallas, Texas for Genesis. Unfortunately, I will admit I did catch it after the fact. The Bills were playing at the same time, and I'm sorry, Daniel. I'm sorry, TNA. My Bills come first. Unfortunately, I was I was contemplating doing the side by side, but I'm like, no, I don't want to end up breaking my phone because I'll throw it. But Brian, man, just that Genesis pay-per-view, top to bottom, absolutely a phenomenal. There we go, Daniel. Phenomenal pay-per-view. And just wrestling. I love seeing wrestling with a little bit of entertainment sprinkled in there.
I thought the show was excellent. I hate to keep saying it every week, just like we got to get the twisting burning, but I'm sure we'll get that in there at some point. But anyway,
I got it teed up. Don't worry, bro.
Okay. But it kept my attention span. I don't even know how long it went. I was fine the entire time. I really don't. The flow, the time between matches was awesome. I didn't have to sit there. The matches themselves were awesome. I have to touch on, well, I guess we'll get there. But anyway, I just thought it was really, really done well. I thought the production part of it was really good. They were doing some camera shots I have not seen them do in a long time. And it could have been maybe because of the big crowd. They had a nice house. As you could tell by the pictures that were out there online and on Twitter and Instagram and all that kind of thing. But no, this was a well done, well produced pay-per-view that keeps a guy like me with attention span of a 2-year-old able to stay focused, not worried about the time, because I'm always that guy that just keeps checking the clock. Golly, we still got 2 more matches. We were getting to the main event. I was like, shit, this has been good. Well done. I don't want to keep going on. I really enjoyed it. I really did. I thought it was a very, very, very good produced, very well told stories in the ring. And I can't wait for the next pay-per-view.
Well, I can't add a lot to that, but I will definitely say it was at the very least solid.
Mm-hmm.
At the very least, everything delivered. Every man and woman in that locker room put it all out there. You almost felt like a different energy from all the talent there. I mean,
totally.
I mean, Daniel could speak to that better than I can, but I felt it through the television screen. I mean, and like you talked about the flow, Brian, it was like it was time for Nick Nemeth and and Joe Henry. And I was like, oh, we're at the main event already?
Yeah, it was like that for me too.
Like cool. All right. I'm ready for this. And
did the game,
by the way, congrats.
Oh,
what's that?
Did the game end before the pay-per-view, or was the payper-view
the Bills game?
Yeah.
I think it overlapped a little bit by like maybe an hour or so.
No, I think the game was over before the pay-per-view, because
Was it?
I know this because right before the main event I checked the score and saw that the Bills lost.
Okay.
Like, or won. I'm sorry, and was like, man, okay.
Hey, you don't want to scare RJ there. Oh, come on. Oh,
no, that's fine. He already told me he was rooting. He was already rooting for Baltimore because of Lamar, and I
that's all right.
But then I saw that they went for 2 to tie the game and missed. Then I heard what happened or whatever. But because I didn't watch the game at all, I just heard what happened.
Right.
But I saw it was 20. Go ahead.
But
Jimmy, I cut you off. Go ahead.
No, that's cool, babe. That's what this is all about, bro. It's like sitting in the kitchen table, slamming back a few adult sodas, and just shooting the shit. You know what I'm saying?
So,
Yeah.
so I want to say this. Of course, I'm biased, obviously, but I did think Genesis was by far one of our best pay-per-views we ever put on, from top to bottom. Matches were outstanding. Even the matches, not only the matches that I was a part of, but the matches that were not. Like, it was just like, wow, this is pretty amazing. Great storytelling.
Mhm.
The surprises, constant surprises happening throughout the night. The flow of that made it great from the NXT talents. It started off with a bang at the very beginning and the countdown with NXT interaction, right? So that was pretty cool. I thought the busted open panel was pretty awesome at the
Yeah.
pre-shows. The first thing we ever did, and then they popped back on right before the main event, which I thought was pretty cool. So that's the new thing. I don't know if that's an ongoing thing, but I think it was a success for sure. But I really want to say this: I've been a part of some great, cool moments in TNA in my career, and I've been lucky to be a part of it. Alex Shelley's win, first ever when he finally won the world title, was special. Seeing the Hardys return was special, and a lot of things, right? But let me tell you what, that crowd and the energy behind Joe Hendry, and when he gets out there and just hitting that 1, 2, 3 and having that place go nuts. I mean, I've done it before where people go nuts. We've all done it, right? There's something about some moments are special, and I was so honored to be that ref and to be able to hand him that title. And after so much of, you know, coulda, woulda, should have had it in Slammiversary, should have had it in Bound for Glory. He was hot then, hot. He's just as hot now as he was then, guys. So
Hey, Daniel, a fan captured video, man. They had to loop his song like 4 times.
they did, because the song went like a minute and 20 or whatever. Yeah.
Mhm.
Um,
No, but you're right. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off now, Daniel, but you're absolutely right, because that was the discussion. Some people say you can't put lightning back in the bottle. Once that moment has passed, it's very difficult to do, you know. But Joe Henry has got something special.
I'm going to say this, and I know we pulled back the curtain a lot of here, but when people thought he should have won a Bound for Glory and he didn't, this is what happens. And all companies do this, WWE, TNA, I guess AEW does too. It's why give you something that you paid for now when we know you're going to pay for it again and give it to you then, right? So there you go.
Well, I mean, yeah.
That goes to all those people too, where they say, "Oh, this is too predictable. We know Joe Henry's going to win," and when you don't, they go like, "What the?"
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was. I love the fact that he did not win
Right.
Bound for Glory, and that it built it up to this, because I think it was the right. I mean, hindsight's 2020. I get it, but having a little inside baseball, I knew he needed a little bit longer before he gets it, and now it's just a matter of what's next, and we'll see what happens live this Thursday on Impact. So
cool.
So I wanted to give another match some flowers too before we send it up to our ref and review this week. Jordan Grace, Tessa Blanchard. When we saw Jordan Grace and Masha Slamovich, remind me of the pay-per-view, Daniel. I'm sorry.
Bound for
Genesis.
Glory?
But it was no Bound for Glory with Masha and Jordan.
Well, they've done 2 of them in pay-per-views. They did Bound for Glory, then
where Masha won the title.
Bound for Glory.
Bound for Glory. Yeah. When I thought that was the match of the year, until I saw this one, and it was so very close. Obviously, 2 totally different things, but just absolutely a phenomenal match, Jimmy.
No, it was incredible. You talk about storytelling, you talk about intensity, you talk about selling with your face. Both women were doing that masterfully. And not only in that match, I got to give Masha and Rosemary props too. But it's unfortunate that they had to follow that one. That wasn't easy at all, man. Those they put it all out. You know, I keep saying they put it all out there. They left it all out there and then some. That was incredible, you know, and, you know, hats off to the ladies for doing, because we talk about a lot of women's divisions right now, and this is one that people are going to pay attention to. The women's division in TNA, you can put them up there with anybody right now. They just need, you know, more eyes on them so that people recognize that.
Yeah.
I thought
For
that
sure.
I agree. I thought they killed it. I thought Jordan and Tessa worked really hard. I thought they worked really stiff. I thought they worked really snug. If people don't know what I'm meaning, that's okay. I'm not peeling that curtain back. Snug's a huge word here. What I mean,
Just go watch the match.
exactly.
Yeah.
And then they did all that and still told a great fucking story, a great story. But one negative, and just one negative.
Nitpicker.
Maybe Daniel, maybe not. Well, I mean, if y'all didn't feel this, let me know. Whoever's in charge of gimmicking the turnbuckle did a horrible job at that. And
No,
if it,
that's not
okay,
that's,
okay. Well, hold on, Daniel. Look,
okay.
he can't wait to jump in and defend his little company. No, if it was a gimmick, then that's even stupider. But it was such a distraction, and it took away the momentum they had going into that spot. Not only that, she gave up on the middle and went to the bottom, and then finally she was able to expose the middle enough to where you could see where the taped portion was, and was able to use it. The referee spot for that too was also not the greatest, but it worked. It worked. Daniel, fire on up. Come on. You can't tell me it wasn't a distraction. And if it was designed to be just like that, why?
No, I don't know that part. All I know for sure is that they twice they went to the wrong turnbuckle.
Okay, then that's the talent fault.
That's the talent fault because they told us what turnbuckle it was. It was gimmicked and then and what's funny was we
think after she played tug of war for 5 minutes she'd be like, all right, this is the wrong one. God damn.
I don't know. Well, if you remember, there was the opposite corner tried that, and then they were told, no, it's this corner. Okay, and then but they literally went for the turnbuckle. They told us what turnbuckle to use in gimmick, and they went for that. So I'm just glad that they didn't ruin the turnbuckles, because then we would have been screwed for the rest of the show. So
all right, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this, Daniel.
Yeah.
We're gonna incorporate this in the ref and review because this falls in a direction you know where I'm going.
Okay, but really quickly before we get to that, I just want to say that.
But it was awesome. It was awesome, Jimmy. I don't want anybody to think.
No.
Awesome.
I'm just saying that the fact that it didn't come off easy actually added to it a little bit too.
So the only thing I don't
to get it off.
The only thing I don't know is I'm sure Paige, who was the ref in that match, I know she was communicating, letting them know that was the wrong one. But I don't know if she knew that which one on that side was. She wasn't in charge of gimmick, and that was other people. And trust me, I got gimmicked. So,
I believe you.
The chairs,
Shaved. They weren't shaved, Jimmy.
Yeah, but Jimmy. But even when they're gimmicked, it's still a struggle.
Right.
That would have been there.
Right.
This looked like a fight.
Oh, I mean,
right.
both of those girls can throw down some weight. So it would have been a struggle, but it would have popped off in a second. So yeah, the fact that they were struggling, it was like, but the good thing is though, the only positive I can give about it looked more real than it
did.
Exactly.
But you could just tell, her having to sell longer while she tried to struggle with it, slowed that pace down. If you take that portion out of it, honestly, and I'm being nitpicky, I am. It just slowed it down a little bit. And if you had taken that away and it did what probably was the other corner, I bet it would have been magical and just made it that much better if that's possible. So
it wasn't quite the same thing, but it was almost like Mark Henry with the chain on the cage door.
Oh, I remember that
was supposed to be gimmicked and wasn't, and he still ripped it off.
Well, she did too. She didn't rip it off, but she got it down.
But still, like with his fingers,
when she did at the end, she did rip it kind of over to the side.
Yes,
so
yes.
Again, like so once that happened, we're like, oh boy, no, please don't have the garments break or whatever. And luckily it didn't. And I mean, we was able to finish the show, so thank goodness.
I know people say, why are you comparing to WWE? The one thing they do is they use their corner pads are tied on with string, with rope.
Yes.
That does, if you're going to use them,
you try a little gimmick.
Yeah, all you got to do is untie it.
They use it. They also use a different style of turnbuckle pad too.
Right. That's
so,
true too.
Yeah.
The
Guys-
TNAs are zip tied, right?
We zip tie. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah. You could technically tie those. It's just not. It's just a little more harder and and it doesn't look as good when you zip tie.
Right.
So
You try to tuck them in, but
yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.